The tale of the Four Horsemen has fascinated people for hundreds of years. These mysterious figures are mainly found in the Christian religion, especially in Revelation, the Bible's final book. But they're also mentioned earlier in the Bible, like in the books written by Zechariah and Ezekiel. They appear when Jesus, known as the Lamb of God, opens 4 seals. This event is a big red flag. It means the world might be coming to an end, but it's part of a bigger plan from above. First, when the seal is opened, there's a rider on a white horse. People often think this rider is about conquest. Why? Well, he has a bow and crown showing he's strong and a winner. Usually in the Bible, white means something is pure and good. But people can't really agree on what this rider truly stands for. In the 1800s, some experts wondered if he might be the Antichrist. In Christianity, this is a person who tricks others into giving up their beliefs. Some thought the rider stood for holy war, meaning fights started because of religion. Now, there are people who think this rider means pestilence, standing for dangerous illnesses. This idea tries to make each rider represent a different kind of big trouble. Long ago, the Romans had their thoughts too. They believed the white horse was about success and doing well, which was what the Roman Empire wanted. Following that, the image presented by the second seal is that of a rider mounted on a horse as red as fire, an unmistakable symbol of war. In his hand, the rider brandishes an enormous sword, a clear invitation to conflict, stirring humans to engage in combat and become adversaries. The symbolism is striking and straightforward. The fiery red hue of the horse is reminiscent of blood spilled in battle, and the presence of the sword reinforces the theme of warfare and violence. This portrayal was particularly poignant during the times of ancient Rome, a period marked by significant internal strife. The Roman Empire began to show signs of crumbling under the weight of such intense internal conflict. This era, especially during the reign of Emperor Commodus, was rife with infighting and turmoil, and the symbol of the Red Horseman would have been easily understood as a representation of the battles and bloodshed happening within the nation's borders. The widespread discord was not just physical fighting, but also indicative of a deeper societal breakdown, leading to an erosion of the unity that had once held the empire together. The fiery horseman's appearance could be perceived as both a reflection of the times and a prophetic figure, symbolizing not only the ongoing conflict, but also the potential for future wars and the continual human struggle for power and dominance. The massive sword held by the rider is not just a weapon, but a metaphor for the deep divisions created by war, the severing of relationships, and the propensity for humans to turn against one another, even to the point of brother fighting brother. In the context of ancient Rome, especially under Emperor Commodus, these symbols would resonate deeply. Commodus's reign was marked by conspiracy, murder, and excessive indulgence, which only fueled the fires of conflict within the Roman Empire. The leadership's corruption and the subsequent erosion of noble values led to a society where trust was scarce and fear was rampant. The Red Horse and its rider, thus, were not just characters in a prophetic vision, but mirrored the very real societal collapse and the human cost of unrestrained conflict. Therefore, the vivid imagery of the rider on the red horse, wielding a huge sword, serves as a powerful symbol. It transcends time, acting as a universal reminder of the chaos and destruction that war brings, reflecting the bloodshed and brokenness that have long been part of human history, particularly evident in the turbulent times of ancient Rome. The emblem of war, epitomized by the blood-red horse, is a stark warning of the consequences of human aggression and the fragility of societal structures, when faced with the internal strife of the magnitude seen during the times of Emperor Commodus. The third seal introduces a rider on a black horse, holding a set of scales. This is a signal of famine. The scales are there to show that food is so rare and expensive, you'd have to weigh even the tiniest bits because they cost so much. Think about having to work an entire day just to afford a single loaf of bread. That's what the rider on the black horse is warning us about. There were times in the past when there wasn't enough food for everyone. Like from 1315 to 1317 in Europe, during the Middle Ages, there was the Great Famine. It rained a lot, crops couldn't grow, and people all over were starving. Sadly, we still have famines today, caused by things like wars, the weather changing, and problems with how countries are run. The last of the Four Horsemen is maybe the scariest. The fourth seal brings out a rider called Death, riding a pale horse. Death isn't alone but comes with Hades, and they have control over 1/4 of the earth. They bring death in all kinds of ways, using swords, causing famine, spreading diseases, and even through wild animals. This reminds people of the Black Death, a terrible sickness that spread through Europe in the 14th century. It killed millions, about 1 out of every 3 people. The disease was carried by fleas on rats, showing that even small animals can cause a lot of pain and trouble. Over time, the way people perceive the Four Horsemen has evolved. This shift has been shaped by various faiths, cultural influences, and historical events. Some people hold on to the idea that the horsemen appear to indicate the end of the world, eradicating wickedness and celebrating righteousness. However, there are alternative interpretations. Take, for example, the narrative in Zechariah's writings, where the horsemen are depicted more like guardians of law and order, quite contrary to the catastrophic entities described in the book of Revelation. This contrast highlights the complexity of these symbols and the diverse ways they can be interpreted. The Four Horsemen symbolize common threats and apprehensions that are universal: the horrors of war, the struggle of scarcity and hunger, the outbreak of devastating illnesses, and the inevitability of death. These hardships are universally shared by all humans, irrespective of their era. They prompt us to ponder on the potential apocalypse, but also significantly contribute to the narrative of human existence. In the realm of art and various forms of media, the Four Horsemen have made a considerable impact. Renowned painters such as Albrecht Dürer and Viktor Vasnetsov have brought these enigmatic horse riders to life on canvas. These artworks act as windows, allowing us to witness the evolving perceptions of the horsemen throughout history. Yet their presence isn't confined to historical art. The horsemen gallop through movies, TV dramas, comics, and even video games. They feature in popular narratives like X-Men, Darksiders, and Supernatural. These ancient symbols retain their relevance and continue to resonate in our modern culture. While many associate the Four Horsemen predominantly with Christian teachings, similar stories and characters appear in diverse cultural traditions. Norse mythology, for example, speaks of Ragnarok. Hindu texts refer to Kalki, and Buddhist scriptures mention Maitreya. These analogous figures serve as cultural mirrors, reflecting diverse societal thoughts on how the world could potentially conclude. Examining the symbolic nature of the Four Horsemen from a psychological perspective, they might embody our innermost fears and tribulations. Carl Jung, a notable psychoanalyst, introduced the concept of the shadow aspect of our psyche. In this context, the horsemen could be envisaged as embodiments of our inner darkness that we're frequently reluctant to confront. In our current era, the profound themes that the Four Horsemen stir, warfare, famine, disease, and mortality, remain critically pertinent. We witness these elements in international conflicts, climate-induced agricultural crises, global health challenges, and ethical dilemmas brought about by advanced technologies such as AI. Despite their ancient origins, the tales of the horsemen provide a framework for reflecting on contemporary issues. We see them not only in religious stories but also in art, movies, TV shows, and even video games. They pop up in different cultures too, not just in Christian stories. For example, similar figures appear in Old Norse, Hindu, and Buddhist stories. This shows that many cultures think about these big fears and create characters or stories to explore them. Even today, the Four Horsemen make us think about modern problems like global conflicts, food shortages, health crises, and issues brought by new technologies. They've become symbols we use to talk about and understand the big challenges we face, no matter where we come from or what time we live in. How do you think the Four Horsemen would look like in